I was unaware that they actually made legit fan fiction for the Bible until today, when I was told by the creator that I had to review this thing. Jesus Gets Nailed. I already know it's going to be bad. And yes, I have to read it out loud. Right, let's get this over with. Jesus Gets Nailed by Ozymandias. Okay. Fascinating name for the author. It's rated M. It's romance drama. The characters are Jesus, John the Apostle, and Judas. And it's over 1,200 words, 64 reviews, 18 faves, 2 follows, and it was published back in April of 2016. Okay, here we go. Jesus Gets Nailed. The Last Supper. I already know this is going to be wonderful because the grammar and layout is already atrocious. Jesus checked his sundial. 1:30 Yom Kippur. His disciples were late. Well, everyone but Judas, that was. Judas wasn't late, but he always came last. Well, wouldn't that make him late? If you know what I'm saying. Oh. Jesus had been trying for years to repress his feelings for Judas, but somehow he felt that tonight was the perfect night to let that go. Thirsty, Judas? Are you ready for tonight? Whispered Jesus into Judas's ear sensationally as he walked by. Actually, I'd love a drink, Judas said hesitantly. Did you bring the water? Plenty of water for everyone, said Jesus. He left the room momentarily before returning with a barrel. Come and get it. Jesus winked accidentally. How do you wink accidentally? It's, winking that's not something you do by accident. It's a very deliberate thing. In fact, I think there's some people who don't even know how to wink. Judas blushed. Jesus didn't know, but Judas had feelings of his own that he tried to repress. Of course, they both secretly have feelings for each other. I mean, it does happen in real life. I will admit, it does happen in real life, but how it happens in fan fiction is just so predictable, and it's just always bloody stupid, and it's always like simultaneously at the same time they realize that they have feelings for each other, and that's just not realistic. Sometimes one might realize they have feelings for the other person, and then maybe a few years later that other person realizes, hey, they have feelings too, but I digress. In fan fiction or in fiction as a whole, it's always like this magical, they both magically fall in love with each other at the exact same time nonsense. It's just bloody stupid. Back on topic. He tentatively took a glass and filled it from the barrel, taking a big swing, as he'd been to the meeting very early to impress Big Daddy J. As he sipped his drank. Drank. I think you meant to say drink there, dearie. He noticed Jesus doing the same, and their eyes locked. With reckless abandon, they flew at each other and then got each other very wet because they were still drinking, and it was okay, that didn't actually happen. That was just me adding that in. Just as Jesus began to search Judas' totally ripped body, he heard footsteps. Oh, I'm sorry. I lost my place there. All right, so he removed his... Okay, they flew at each other. Okay, here we go. This is the part that I forgot to read. Embracing tightly and kissing deeply. As Jesus wrapped his arms around Judas, he grabbed Judas' ass. Now, instead of just saying Judas's ass, they just say, because it's Judas, it ends with an S. It's like, still add in the extra S. Because just having it say Judas' ass just sounds wrong. I mean, maybe I'm wrong in this instance, but I don't know. Strongly pulling Judas, and they forgot to capitalize the J in Judas there, into him and removing his robe simultaneously. That's where I messed up there, sorry. Just as Jesus began to search Judas's totally ripped body. He heard footsteps in the corridor outside of the room. "We'll continue this later," whispered Jesus sensationally. "No," growled Judas. "We'll continue this right now." He bit Jesus. Now they're doing it to Jesus too. Jesus's lip and continued his onslaught as he gripped Jesus's hard dong. Judas wasn't going to waste the opportunity that he'd been waiting for years to have, as he dropped to both knees and began sucking his Lord's holy rod. As the disciples approached, Jesus moaned and gripped Judas's hair. Finally! There it is! It is proper that time. It actually does say apostrophe S. Resigning himself to being caught, John was the first apostle to enter the room, and as he walked in, he witnessed a scene he had seen in countless wet dreams. Oh no. The two men he lusted after most entwined in totally gay fellatio. John was instantly hard as he dropped his robe, looking straight into the eyes of his master, but Jesus would be a different type of master tonight. As the apostles walked one by one into the room, each approached Jesus and Judas, removing their robes and engaging in holy sacrament. Every apostle had another preaching their confessions. "Oh God," moaned every man, totally breaking the third commandment. Every apostle except Peter. Peter was the first to be honored by Jesus with a request for his asshole, but Peter denied his master access. As Peter left the room, Jesus decided that the asshole of John was good enough for him. He positioned the head of his hard cock at the entrance of John's butthole. I'm sorry, I thought you were saying asshole. Now you're being proper and saying butthole. Giving John time to prepare, that the Spirit of God enter you. And also his dick, said Jesus. All right, I'm going to pause right there. The reason why I kept losing my place while I was reading a good chunk of that is, just take a look at this paragraph. You see, this is why you need to do proper paragraph spacings and not just have a random blob of text in the middle of your story. And unfortunately, there's an even bigger blob of text a little bit later. Right, at least I have a few sentences that will be easy to read. "Holy fuck," said John. Just look at this oh so lovely grammar here. Lack of capitalization, you spelled the word fuck wrong and there's no comma. Congratulations, you get an F. "Holy fuck," said John. "Exactly," said Jesus. "Yes, my son." "Give it to me, Daddy." Jesus obliged, and now we're entering the second block of text. Bear with me. Judas watched from a corner as the love of his life fucked his friend in the arse. I mean, they spelled fuck correctly that time. A holy glow emanated from John's eyes, brown one included. So his butt was glowing. His chocolate starfish. Well, that's a very fascinating way to describe one's anal hole. His chocolate starfish was taking a real pouting, and Judas was jealous beyond reason. He approached Jesus from behind, whispering in his ear, "This won't be the last time you get backstabbed." He followed Jesus' lead. Jesus had heard of the Holy Grail, but he was about to receive the Holy Rail. Bloody stupid. Jesus, John, and Judas moved in sync, fucking each other's man pussies. Man pussies. That's another interesting way to describe a bum. So I guess technically I have a man pussy too, because everyone has butts. Moving back and forth in glorious rapture. As John's moans grew louder, the other disciples began to notice seeing Jesus deliver his holy envoy. Slowly, one by one, they moved over and placed behind the previous disciple, creating a holy convoy. Judas tore John a new one. "Give it to me, Judas. I'm ass Kenazi, screamed Jesus as the anal train moved in succession. Like David, Jesus was looking for the biggest stones he could find, and his apostles were the bearers of those stones. Hold on a minute, Meg just texted me. 5 minutes later. Sorry about that. That was just Meg letting me know that she was on her way home and asked if I wanted something for dinner later, so sorry about that. Let's go back to the story. I placed my mouse where... Okay, I found my spot, so... The first James was taking a major pounding from James Minor. What is with all these Jameses? Jesus felt himself roaring to an erratic climax as he continued his assault on John's chocolate Star of David. Just say his butt! As Jesus came everywhere, the other apostles felt a glorious exaltation take over them. 13 men, in a circle, at the height of a powerful God-given orgasm. The sweaty circle of Samson-like men came down together, feeling exhausted after their ordeal. But in less than 3 minutes, Jesus had risen again and was ready to preach his message orally. The other apostles felt the Holy Ghost within them. And like Jesus, they rose. Wow, you really are inside all of us, groaned Simon. Not yet, whispered Jesus with a wink. Did he do it deliberately this time? Each apostle felt the slight itch of the grundle as Jesus... Okay, again, why do you not have an apostrophe S? Jesus' magical dick energy searched for their tight buttholes. Yahweh, they screamed as they felt themselves penetrated by the energy of their Lord. So what is he doing? Like making clones of his penis and like penetrating them all simultaneously. You are my flock of sheep, said Jesus. Now take my holy crook. I think you meant to say crock or cock. The apostles were unable to talk as they were rammed by holy power. Remember the 5th commandment, yelled Jesus over the moans of his apostles. You must honor thy daddy. Yes, oh God, Jesus, yes, screamed the 12 men as they simultaneously drew close to orgasm. Given by the power of his own daddy, Jesus continued his magical onslaught upon the buttholes of each of his disciples, pushing through until he could feel and hear that they were all close. Come for your father, said Jesus as the apostles simultaneously gave 2 sweet release. They all began to spurt Holy Spirit as Jesus' dick unleashed a rapturous chorus of doves. The room was filled with moans and beds as the apostles peaked. Jesus felt the energy in the room heightened and smiled smugly, knowing his work was nearly finished. As the apostles came down from their peaks, Jesus noticed a familiar face in the doorway. Epilogue. The sundial was at 3/4 past Yom Kippur. The sepulchre was dark. One figure, covered in a robe, entered. A shadowy figure, only lit by candlelight, walked to an altar. There lay a book. The person took the steps up to the altar, rounded the corner, unveiled a quill from their robe, and began to write. In a tempered fashion, the words began to scrawl, Thou shalt. Just then, Jesus entered the sepulchre. His mind was tired from the afternoon, but his body was fully recuperated and ready for more action. Jesus spoke. Mary, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. But it was too late. Mary had finished writing in the Bible. A stillness clung in the air. Mary proclaimed quietly, It is done, and began hastily walking out of the church. Jesus ran to the altar to view the alterations. He quickly ascended the steps and grabbed the book. His eyes darted, reading quickly over and over again. He collapsed to his knees, eyes very quietly weeping. The words you may ask, Thou shalt not lay with another man. Okay then. That was, Okay then. Well. Yes. All right. Okay, not really sure what to say about this. And why was he referring to his mother as Mary? At least we now know the origin of homophobia in Christianity. It was because Jesus' mother Mary did not like that he was homosexual, so she altered the Bible to say that thou shalt not lay with another man. Although Jesus is a bloody God, he could just say, yes, Mom, it doesn't work like that, and just magically erase it. I don't know. I digress. So yes, the story was not, it was stupid. I say that a lot in this web series, but yes, the story was stupid. The layout was atrocious. I mean, you have not one, but two gigantic blobs of text. Sometimes the grammar would be okay, but most of the time it wasn't. And like, I don't know what they were thinking when they wrote this. And I'm sure there was plenty of Christians that were probably angry by this. I mean, it does have 64 reviews. I'm curious to see if this person has written anything else. No, this is the only story they have written. And this is their profile. Just take a look. This is all it is. I think this was supposed to be a troll account. That's what I think it was. Yes. So yes, would I recommend this story? No. Regardless on if you're a Christian or not. I would not recommend this story. I mean, I already read it out loud to you, so you all had to suffer alongside with me. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've read. I was actually expecting it to be way worse than that, actually. It was just, I don't know, to me, it just kind of felt like it was a waste of time reading it. But I digress. Well, if you liked today's episode, please be sure to leave a like and leave a comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, cheerio.